Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm Jay from Connecticut, and I'm enjoying the show. Yes, I'm enjoying the show. I love to listen when I get an opportunity to listen to you brothers, because you actually bring some practical solutions to this whole consciousness thing. And you hear a lot of crazy stuff, and it's good when people actually have their feet on the ground sometimes.
That's right.
But
thank you, Jay.
I wanted to actually, I don't want to diverge too much, but I was wondering what's up with, because I have friends here, particularly male friends, who, they're conscious and they get all the DVDs and they go to lectures, but they're very complacent. And when I mean complacent, meaning, they have all these things that they want to do. And, because you were talking about, some people are addicted to the foods and the drugs. But I'm also seeing I don't know if this is a trend, but, you have these brothers who are conscious and they're nice, they're good guys, but, they don't have families. They don't seem to want to commit to any, not anything as far as, progressive moving forward with their lives. You know what I mean? They're angry about, the society. They're angry about politics and things of that nature. But, when we get into conversations about family or about maybe starting their business, they're very complacent. So I wanted to see what your thoughts was about that. So if you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah. What you wanna go first, Holip, or you want me to?
Well, actually, I have some thoughts about that. I always compare the plight that we're in as a people, because, I look at it collectively. We're sheep scattered in the field. And so each individual sheep is doing what they need to do to sustain themselves, and it's a lot of disorder. There's no formation, there's no nothing. And the shepherds are missing in action. So it's a question of, at what point do the sheep say, well, we have to get together minus the shepherd and do what we have to do? Or if you're on a football team or basketball team or baseball team and your coaches have all left the field and they're leaving you out there to play the game, it's like everybody, your natural inclination is to look for leadership.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's what the problem is. The leadership is missing in action. So the question becomes, at what point do we collectively get together to try to win the game, or do we say, screw the game, let me get out of here? You know what I'm saying? It's those are the decisions that we are all facing individually. Do we want to continue to play like we're a part of a collective culture, or do we going to just say, you know what, since nobody's working together, let me just go out here and do my own thing?
Right.
And that's the thing that we're in right now. That's the dynamic that we're in right now. And really, this is why, and by knowing this, it gives me a lot of understanding when it comes to dealing with our people. Because I'm not so quick to demonize them, because I understand the situation. If you have it where, take for instance, we don't have any infrastructure in place to protect you if you decide you're going to go against the system in any political way. Mm-hmm. So how can I get mad at people because they choose to be apathetic politically? I can't.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can look at it and I can say that's messed up, but I can't look at them and demonize them because they don't.
Right. And a lot of hopefully I won't get cut off, but if I do, hang in there. A lot of our brothers that, like you said, and you were right to say, they're well-meaning and they mean well, but the complacency and the lethargy comes from being stuck in part of the matrix. Part of, like Neo, like I played that clip, part of their mind is still in the matrix.
Right.
Part of their mind is still in what LeBron James is doing. What is, do the man up the street got that bag for me? Do the liquor store got that fix for me so that I could? Part of them, they're still in that. There's not a complete divorce. The divorce was not complete yet in there, because first, it might be due to their age, it might be due to their spiritual elevation at the time. They might not be ready to make a complete divorce from everything that they're still hanging on to, that allows the system to still run and still take its place without their conscious involvement in changing it. They might really like to, come home and throw back, hit an L and just philosophize. And there's a season for that. There's a time for that. I don't judge that. But in doing that, what happens is they become stuck in their way in which they're going to affect the change. That might hopefully will come later when they mature and say, you know what, I got to put this down and I got to do some of the stuff that I say needs to be done. And I can't do it if I got to stop every few hours to go get high or go get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, sister, me personally, Mr. Holipsism, what I concentrate on, I don't concentrate on the sheep. I concentrate on the shepherd. I give the shepherd hell every Sunday.
Right.
That's my goal is to, and I give him no breaks, and I put a big spotlight on him, because I can't blame the sheep for being sheep and them doing what they got to do. Our people have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We have no socioeconomic and political infrastructure. We have no nationhood that we can be a part of. I mean, when you look at the Army, like when you go to the armed services, you go through boot camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you go through boot camp, they assess your skill level, and they put you in the position that you're supposed to be in based on your skill level.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go to the field to be soldiers. Some people go into science. Some people go into communications. They have a system in place to assess talent and put it where it needs to be put. Do we have that?
No.
In any way, shape, or form?
Not at all.
Right.
You know
what I'm saying?
Those who are just working within the system, just trying to survive, but nothing of our own where we can actually, control.
Right, and that's the problem. So I look at it from a systematic point of view, from an architectural point of view, and when the lab rats are all out, in the laboratory and they're running all over the place, I'm not going to go to the lab rat and go, what are you doing outside of your cage? I'm going to go to the person who's the scientist, the person who's running the lab.
Yeah.
And that's what the problem is. We don't have any structure, so everybody's out here doing their own thing, and that's why everything is messed up.
Yeah, that's true. And we have conversations like that, at least here in Connecticut, because it's like that's what you have, everybody doing their own thing. And I'm like, we need to have more fellowship, and, we're always railing about the Christians and the Muslims. And I say, well, the reason why they have a stranglehold, with the blacks who follow those traditions is that they have fellowship, and, those who say they're conscious, and depending on whether that's metaphysics or into health or, whatever, we seem to not have that ability to have the fellowship needed, because it seems like everybody wants to do their own, which is important, their own study, and, do their own thing. And, I have friends who've gone to West Africa, but, like, even him, and he's he just turned 40, and it's like everything about his, he's not married, he doesn't have any kids, and it's just like every time I run into him, he's just railing against, the racism at his job, And so, it's just like that anger is there, but there's nowhere to channel it,
exactly.
what I mean?
That's my problem.
But you know what? As well, we can't look at our timetables in the same way that the white man, his timetable. By the time he's 40, he probably done finished everything he needed to do, pretty much, because the system works in his favor.
Yeah,
Francis Cress Welsing said in the ISIS papers that we shouldn't even start having kids until we're like 30, 35 years old, because of the situation that we're in. It's very unique. Most black people, they won't find themselves until their 20s. You went through 0 through 18, 19 being programmed. 20, you start to realize that there's something going wrong. So you spend all your 20s and 30s trying to find yourself, which might consist of smoking, drinking, hanging out, trying to find out what's happening with you. You're reading everything. You're stuck in between worlds. So by the time now you get to 40, late 30s, 40, now you're at the point in your life where you can now actually, you have enough information and enough life experience to be able to now do something about it. That's the problem with racism.
Point. That's an interesting point.
Yeah,
what's the average age of knowledge itself, of coming into knowledge itself? The average age. It ain't when you in your teens.
No,
you know what I'm saying? It's usually like, so then you got to factor that into the equation. And then the mere fact that, like I said, I call it the nigger manufacturing machine. We are where we are supposed to be right now because we don't have any systematic way of producing anything other than what we're producing. And to be honest with you, we're supposed to be producing individuals that don't come into knowledge itself until they're 25, 30, because that's the way our system has been set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have a system in place where we can instill knowledge itself into our children at a preschool level, where they don't have to wait until they're 25 in order to know about their own history. These are things that should be staples in their reality when they first start going to a learning institution.
Right.
But because we have nothing in place, we can't do that. And Ambassador raised a point before about another thing that keeps us from becoming unified. There's something to be said about dogma in the way that the Christians and all these other religions have it, because it's a unifier. It's a single-mindedness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
But when you God, you ain't going to listen to nobody else because you God. You ain't going to follow this guy. Why could I follow you? I'm God.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And that creates the individualism, and which at one point is, can be constructive because you're not, stuck into this very simple way of thinking about the world and the universe. But at the same time, it makes it probably harder for you then to work with others.
Right.
I guess in a sense, yeah.
And there's really no contradiction if they were educated in the truest sense of what it means to be educated. There would be no contradiction in being an individual and a free thinker and working within a collective. There really is no contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you would realize is that the benefit of the whole, you benefit from the whole. If the whole is unified, you benefit from it as an individual.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your input is important to the collective. You
right.
can disagree with the way the collective is going and still be a part of the collective.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? and you can say, and you can present that to the collective. Like we need to like what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what happens is that, this is just within the whole community, black community, but I think once somebody has a different or divergent opinion, people kind of get so angry with the fact that that person doesn't totally agree with everything they say. They just, totally, cut them from their life. I have friends who've done that, because you didn't agree with one thing that they said about, some history or some politics. It's like, okay, I can't deal with you no more, And I'm like, but we agree on 99% of everything else. And,
right.
I definitely see that. Of course, you may expect that from those who may not even, care about, some of the issues that we care about, but I am seeing that a lot now with people who do claim themselves to be conscious. It's like, you got to think the way I think, and,
right.
and that can be.
But that's not even how the system works. The system. Everyone doesn't agree with the way the system is running. The people that's running the system don't agree. You got people that don't agree with anything Barack Obama says, but yet the system still functions.
And you know why?
Right.
Because it is one. They have a system and we don't. We compete and we power and add fuel to their system, and we don't have a system of our own. Because once you develop it and once you put the architecture in place for your system will be self-perpetuating. You can kill our leaders and it would not even matter. Wouldn't matter. Because the system would be self-perpetuating and the system would go on. If you think they could kill Congress and the United States government will still exist.